Okay, I'm fixing to change the servo filter. Comes from your charge pump over here. I call this a pilot filter. It very rarely gets changed on a big traco. This is probably going to be the only time that this has ever been changed in this traco's life. I'm going to take the hoses loose and unbolt it and take it to the shop and put it in a vise, and I'll record that when I get there, because this sucker ain't gonna screw off easy. They never do. Well, I said I was gonna go to the shop, but that's a couple miles away, and I thought I'd try the tailgate method here. I couldn't get my channel locks around this thing to hold it properly with it on the machine. Hopefully I can now. See if we can keep from rounding the nut off on it. Now I can hold this thing, keep it from turning the right way. With it bolted on the machine, you just can't do that. It's not easy on the tailgate either. Tell you what, it's a lot easier in the vise. I can smack this thing and get it loose. Tap it a little around there. Well, let's open these channel locks up a little bigger. Let's get around the whole thing. That's too much. Maybe going to the shop to use the vise after all. These are never easy to get apart. Let's see here. Well, you can see that didn't work. I don't want to ruin the cup on this thing. One good hard smack ought to do it. That didn't do it. Sometimes you can hit them. It'll jar them loose. It's just not working out. We're going to the vise. It's worth going to the shop. Okay, a few minutes later, here we are in a vise. We'll try to get this loose without tearing it up. May have to get a pipe wrench, but I'm going to try this with channel locks. Sure going to be easier being in a vise. Look at there. Come right loose. Being in a vise is all the difference in the world. That took no effort at all. I know this thing's going to leak a bunch of fluid and make a heck of a mess here. I need more rags around it. If you cut stuff in your vise occasionally and got metal shavings around, beware of that. I do. And I'm just going to have to be sure I don't get any metal shavings in it. Alright. I can already tell by looking at this that they probably sent me the wrong filter. Sure looks like the wrong filter. No, it's right. How about that? It's straight from JCB, so it ought to be right. Now what I'm going to do, instead of spending $34 and waiting on the filter to come from India again, I'm going to put this filter in a Ziploc bag, and I'm going to take that to O'Reilly's and I'm going to get them to figure out the wicks part number for me. It's nice and clean inside. I'll show you what that looks like. Nothing to be afraid of with one of these. They're pretty simple, but they're pretty important. If your controls aren't working real well, the first thing I would do is change this filter. Where's a knife when you need one? Step over here and get a pair of scissors. I'm fixing to say the same thing about scissors. There they are. Alright. There's a part number on this bag right there, but I'm gonna save the old one anyway, because that's what I do. There we are, all nice and pretty. I'm definitely gonna take a pick and change this O-ring. Now, I should have picks laying everywhere. Scissors will do. Well, I done got paint flakes on my hands. I don't want any paint flakes to get down in there. Be sure and clean this out real good. It's just real simple. There's nothing to this thing. And my controls weren't really acting that bad. They seem just a little sloppy. This may not cure it. I may need a charge pump. My charge pump may be about shot. It's got 9,000 hours on it, right at it. Real close to 9,000 hours. Like 89, 90 or something like that. Still got yellow paint all over my hands. Don't really want that in the system. Clean enough. Got a little bit of oil right here that I spilt on a rag. I'm going to take and just slightly wet that O-ring with that little bit of hydraulic oil. There we go, all nice and clean. I believe that's tight enough. Like I said, I got this filter directly from the company in India that makes them for JCB, but you don't have to do that. Nothing else, save your old one and take it to O'Reilly's and they can figure out the wicks part number, and then you can get online and really get the filter cheap. I'm hoping Wicks makes a filter like this. Surely they do. I mean, this filter housing right here was not made just for JCB. They just sourced this somewhere. But it's dark outside now, but I'm going to go put this back on the machine because I don't want the hoses being open tonight. But anyway, if your controls are a little bit laggy, Or if they're not working at all, try this first. If that don't work, check your charge pump pressure.